Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you're doing okay on this Thursday afternoon. Today is Yom HaShoah. I'd like to do a Rashi that is at least somewhat related in my mind to the day that we are commemorating today, remembering the 6 million of our brothers and sisters who perished in the Holocaust, remembering the heroism of survivors and the lives of survivors, as David Bernstein in our presentation earlier today so aptly said, really to be able to commemorate those who died. The greatest honor to them is to learn about how they lived and to think about how they lived. And so it's incumbent upon us to learn about these survivors and about those who perished, learn about their lives, appreciate their lives, what their life was like before the Holocaust, what they lost in the Holocaust, what we lost as a people and as a world, and to continue to reflect upon that. All week, we've really been touching in a very tangential way on very appropriate themes for Yom HaShoah, and that is in analyzing the connection, the beginning of the Parsha, between the death of Nadav and Avihu and the service of Yom Kippur. We talked on Monday about the textual aspect of it, and the first answer that Rashi gives about the analogy of the doctor. We talked a little bit yesterday about the additional piece that's in some versions of Rashi, connecting this to the broader concept of kapara, atonement, that the death of the righteous atone, and that the day of Yom Kippur atones, even connecting it to the way we structure our liturgy on Yom Kippur by including various passages like the passage of the Asara Harugei Malchus, the 10 martyrs. I want to go one step further today with that concept, not from Rashi, but from the same pasuk, the same set of psukim, by showing you a Torah Tamima, which I know I've shared in the past, but which I always find to be very meaningful, especially on this day. So the Torah Tamima of Baruch Halevi Epstein, very important work, commenting on the psukim of the Torah, bringing various Mamarei Chazal, various statements of the Gemara, of Midrashim, Talmud Yerushalmi. So on these first psukim, where we connect the death of Nadav and Avihu to the service that's being described here, which we eventually know as the service Yom Kippur, the Torah Tamima quotes the Talmud Yerushalmi and Yuma, which says, Tanya. It's similar to the Rashi we saw yesterday. Why do we recall the death of these righteous people, Nadav and Avihu, on Yom Kippur, in the midst of the service of Yom Kippur being described here? Because just as Yom Kippur atones, so to the death of righteous people atones, similar to the Rashi we saw yesterday. But now look at, that's the quote from the Talmud Yerushalmi. But look here at the Torah Tamima, Baruch Halevi Epstein's actual comment on this Talmud Yerushalmi. Lo nisbar erech ha'inyan shemisas tzadikim mechaper umatam bedavar. The Gemara doesn't really explain what the value of the death of righteous people really is and why it is that it atones for us in some way. How does the death of one person end up atoning for the people who are left here in the world? How does the connection work? It seems to be all based on this incident of the Misa of Shaul, the death of Shaul, which is brought down in Pirkei Rabbi Lazar. It's commented upon in Pirkei Rabbi Lazar. What you can say from that whole incident, after the death of Shaul, we see the pasuk says, "Vayikruas atzmos Shaul, vayater Elokim Yisrael acharei chen." Kevan shara Kadosh Baruch Hu shegam lo chesed, samu ubachu v'saftu lo. Miyad nismale rachamim, shenemar vayater Elokim la'aretz. After the death of Shaul, the people bury his bones, and it says that the Hashem listened to their prayers. Hashem responded to them in compassion in some way. So the Medrash, Pirkei Rabbi Lazar, commenting on this incident of Shaul, says the reason why God listened to their prayers, the reason why God did compassionate things for them and offered them chesed in the aftermath of Shaul's death is not because Shaul died and magically his death sort of transformed the world and brought atonement into the world, but rather because of the reaction of the people to his death, because they cried for him respectfully, they mourned for him respectfully, they eulogized him respectfully, because of their righteous actions in reacting to the loss of this great leader, Hashem had mercy upon them. It's not the death of the righteous person that's mechaper. It's the actions we take in response to the death of the righteous person that bring about kapara. And therefore, he concludes the same is true here in the Talmud Yerushalmi. The same is true here in the connection between Nadav and Avihu and the service of Yom Kippur. It's not the death alone that atones. This is what differentiates us from the Christian view of the death of someone atoning for the world. It's not like some magical atonement that's brought into the world. The honor and the mourning that we here in this world, these people who are left in the world, continue to act upon in the aftermath of the death of a righteous person is what brings atonement. Why? Because the honor that we show the person that died is really the honor that we show for Hashem. If we see righteousness in a person that died and we give them honor, what we're really honoring is God and the Torah, which the life of that person embodied. And so in an indirect fashion, we're showing honor to God. When we show honor to God, God brings about atonement. God brings about forgiveness. God brings about compassion. A reaction to the death of the righteous is what brings atonement, not the death itself. Very fascinating take. I know I've shared this before in a variety of contexts. Something I always find powerful to reflect on. Yom HaShoah. What we think about today is not just the death of 6 million, but what is our responsibility? What is our reaction? How do we spend this day? How do we think about this day? How do we act on this day? How do we commemorate this day? Well, we come to the communal commemoration this coming Sunday from Shomrei and KMS together on Zoom. How do we react when we hear about the death of these righteous people? If we could react in the appropriate way, as is our responsibility and obligation, then we can bring about, hopefully, compassion from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and atonement from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and betterment of our world as a whole. And ultimately, that will be the greatest monument, greatest testament to those who perished in the Holocaust, is by bringing about a greater world than the one that they left behind. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a meaningful rest of the day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi.